G'day. Welcome to a very special podcast episode of Fearless Singer. I'm Mel Thuris, and I have a very special guest here today. This is the incredible Clare Hudson. She is a singer-songwriter. She sings jazz, contemporary. She's a very funny writer. But also you write a lot of poignant songs as well. And Claire is also a Fearless Singer member, has been for a couple of years. But yeah, went to the Conservatorium, graduated, and has had a career. I hope you don't mind me telling people this, Claire. You've had a career in the Greens Party and been, helping them out with their events and that kind of thing. But it was actually end of last year that you decided, you know what? I am a musician and I have trained as a musician. I've been doing so much work towards this career. I should just give my singing a go. And you have your first ever gig. Well, not first ever gig, but first, I guess, debut sharing your originals this week at Can You Keep a Secret?
Mm.
Hello, and welcome, Claire. Sorry about the long introduction.
No, thank you. That was really lovely. I feel very official now.
You've always been very
I've
official.
always
You
been
you
official.
are the Claire Hudson OG.
Absolutely. Oh, well, thank you so much for having me. This
Are
is, yeah,
you,
really exciting.
I'm really excited too. Are you looking forward to this Saturday? Did I say Saturday? I hope I said Saturday.
I think you said Saturday. Yeah,
Yeah, good.
I'm
Okay.
I'm so looking forward to it, and I'm yeah, just really excited. It's kind of been on the calendar for a long time now, and I'm like, oh, now I just get me to Saturday. Like so
And
yeah, I'm really keen.
oh, it's so nice. And you're working with some really lovely musicians too. Peter Wilson on keys, Dave
Hmm.
McGuire guitar, Dr.
Yep.
Bob bass.
Yep.
Yeah, beautiful players. And even though you are doing some originals, you're doing a bit of jazz as well.
Yeah. So doing a whole kind of mix of genres. So doing a bit of jazz, doing a little bit of pop, doing a little bit of like singer-songwriter stuff. So going through a whole journey with this one.
And you've
Yeah.
called it Growing Pains. Can you talk a little bit on that?
Yeah. So I guess I came up with the concept of this show um based on like all the things that you learn throughout life and the maybe the little struggles that you have and the things that like I guess make you grow as a person. And so I guess the idea of the show is that it starts out as I guess touching on me as a little kid, little 8-year-old me who's just, done a first lot of singing lessons and is starting to, discover singing and performing and stuff. And kind of going through that, touching on like one of my originals, Barbie, touching on being a kid and growing up and growing out of playing with toys and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, one of my favorite songs. And then, yeah, I guess going um, through, high school, going through uni, moving away from home, taking that kind of big step, moving up to Brisbane, from Tasmania, my hometown, of Hobart, um, and yeah, going alone in the world for the first time at 19 years old in a different city, and lots of growing pains through that. And so I kind of touch on that a bit with a few of my songs there. And then I guess the other half of the song is yeah about um coming to terms with like my time at the conservatorium and the I guess growing pains that I experienced there and then coming out of the conservatorium, taking a break from singing and then I guess learning to like relearning to like love my voice and love singing and then I guess that takes us to here and really wanting to I guess celebrate I guess the last few songs in the show is just really wanting to celebrate um yeah singing and fun songs and enjoying stuff so it does a little linear journey of my life almost so you'll get to hear a lot about me.
I'm so excited. And obviously privileged to have heard your originals, helping you rehearse them. And
Yep, yep.
oh, honestly, they kind of it's this is a weird thing to say, but they kind of sound like Tasmania to me. There's this real earthy, down to earth, I don't know, and also
I
that
love that.
beautiful sophistication of, of Hobart. To me, I think everyone's dream in Queensland is to eventually have a nice little, getaway holiday to Tasmania so we can like, eat
Yeah,
all the nice food and see all the lovely art. So there's this real sophistication. And
that's so
yeah, that is
funny.
your music as
Yeah.
well.
Oh, well,
Sophisticated, earthy Tasmanian pop music. There you go.
wow.
It's your own genre.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
I
I
just
love
want to,
that.
I'm sorry. I just wanted to say, also, by the way, I've got such a bad habit of talking over people in podcasts. So apologies. Apologies, whoever's listening and going, oh, shut up. I'd be listening back to it doing exactly the same thing. But I just want to say, what a huge thing to be 19 years old and moving from, yeah, Hobart to Brisbane, completely new city, new interstate, and be
Mm,
studying classical as well.
yeah,
Because you were thrown to some big repertoire as well. Like you were singing some really tricky tunes from what I
yeah,
remember you saying. So
yeah,
that was a
100%.
lot for a young person.
Absolutely. And like at that point as well, like my dream was like, I'm gonna become an opera singer. And that was like what I detached myself to at the end of year 12. I was like, yes, this is my destiny. Um, that destiny got shattered, but anyway.
I mean, lucky for us.
Yes, yeah,
Yes.
exactly. No, coming up and like I think moving interstate, like I'd never really been to Brisbane or Queensland before very much. And so moving interstate, was just like that was the hardest year I think of my life. It was so tough and there was a lot of grappling with loneliness, discovering anxiety for the first time. Um, discovering my um I guess my like I came in to the con being really confident and feeling really really good about my singing, um and then throughout that year it was like alrighty, so it started to eat away at me, this kind of oh, what is it? The critical that critical voice. And so that critical voice started to become stronger and stronger over my time at the con. And yeah, so it was a huge period of change. And I guess I kind of discussed this in the show as well, of like that's 100% just made me who I am. And so even though there's parts of it that are like, oh, I want to hold little 19-year-old me, um, it's, that's 100% what has brought me to where I am at the moment. So yeah, I just send all my love to little
Yes.
me.
That's it.
Yeah.
And the thing is, we can send, that's what we can heal that part of ourselves. Do you know what I mean? We can do a little bit of time traveling. And I feel like
Yeah.
you're doing that with your music. And in particular, the song People, I, in my mind, I feel
Oh,
like, yeah,
waiting for
waiting
people.
for people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. I call it I want to be where the people are. I've got my own title for your song.
I think that might be a different song.
Yes. I think it might be from The Little Mermaid.
Yeah.
Um, but that kind of touched on that anxiety that you developed from being at the con and having
Mm,
those sleepless nights. Can you talk on that for a little bit?
yeah.
Yeah.
So that was something that was a big part of my first year living in Brisbane, was developing what I didn't know at the time was anxiety, and it was came in the form of just not being able to sleep and feeling like I couldn't control. Like I thought, I can control my sleep. That's one thing that I can control, and I couldn't. And so that, and that was such a massive journey. Like anxiety and sleep anxiety, and it still kind of comes in and out of my life now. Um, but I guess the song "Waiting for People" really kind of came about when I was kind of up at night by myself, and it's, 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and you're by yourself, and all you really want to do is just talk to someone and get out of your own head. And you end up, thinking about all the things that you could have done or should have done, or all the awkward things that happened, 5 years ago or whatever. And just, yeah, I guess wanting to try and, yeah, just get out of my head and talk to people. And I guess that experience of, yeah, just
Mm.
being really lonely in the middle of the night and stuff like that. So, yeah, it's
I,
certainly with that like anxiety stuff, like that was something that I'd just never experienced before. And it took me like so many years to get kind of understand it and come to terms with it. And really, it was only in the last few years where I've been able to be like, okay, I can work alongside it. And actually, maybe it's sending me a message that I'm, doing a bit too much, or, a bit hard on myself or whatever. But I kind of, yeah, work with it now. But I like to kind of talk about it with others, because when it happened to me, it was just like, what is this thing? Why can't I sleep? Why do I feel, like I've run, you know, a few Ks in the middle of the night when I'm just in my bed. But
mm,
yeah. So anyway,
I think, you'd be surprised how many people can relate to that
mm,
condition. It
yeah.
has, like you said, it's one of those things that can just come in and out of your life. You're like, and it's great.
Yeah.
It's great now that you kind of use it as data. You're like, okay, what's going on here, Claire?
Yeah. Yeah.
What
Yeah.
are you worried about? And you're able to sort of talk to it, which is really cool. You
Mm,
know what I love about your song, that particular song, and also all of your songs that have like, that touches on these painful elements of life. They are painful in the moment. There's this great sense of hope in your music. It doesn't,
mm,
it's like they're not your typical sad pop songs. They don't, they don't translate like that. They actually sound, in fact, the opposite. It's like it's empowering, you
mm.
know? Yeah. That's my interpretation, but do you sort of sense that too? They've got this lovely lightness about it. You go sort of, I mean, you do modulate,
Yeah.
with you go in between minor and major, which, and they're really beautiful, catchy, strong melodies, lovely harmony. But yeah,
Mm.
there's still that sense of brightness in it.
Yeah. Well, and I guess certainly in
Mm.
these songs as well, because it's about stuff, even though I've experienced it, like it is also in the past. So I know that, I can get through it and that I'm in a
Mm.
better place. Of course, there's other songs that I just write just to get out feelings that will never see the light of day, and they're incredibly dramatic or incredibly sad or whatever.
That's your journal. That's your
But
journaling.
yeah, they
Yeah.
do the trick. Let me
Mm.
tell you, they do the trick.
And I love that. Oh, look, I love that you've gone from being a classical singer to loving and embracing jazz. And you have such a voice
Mm.
for it, like, and for the soul, and the R&B. And
Yeah.
did you kind of have an inkling that you could sing those songs even when you were doing your classical degree? Was it a little bit naughty to kind of be like, ooh.
Oh my God. I didn't even think about it when I was doing my classical degree. No, beforehand, like before I enrolled in a classical degree, I had literally kind of tossed up, oh, do I go down the jazz or even musical theatre path, or do I go down this classical path? Because during high school, I do some classical stuff, but I love musicals. I love being part of like the stage band, or the house band that we had doing all these really funky tunes. Um, and for whatever reason, I just was like, yeah, I went down the classical path, and I was like, oh, after first year, I might you could do this thing where you could split and do classical and jazz at the same time. But of course, once I started classical, it was like you're sucked into that world. And so
Mm,
I didn't even think of it for ages. But like growing up, jazz was a big genre in our house. and a lot of like Ella Fitzgerald and Billie Holiday just um, on the stereo of a night time. And yeah, I really loved singing jazz, and I remember doing it, a few songs and feeling like it was almost too easy. Like it just kind of, yeah, I connected it really easily, connected with it really easily. And I feel like that's what I felt now, kind of coming back to it and exploring jazz after doing classical. It's just so, oh, like I love it. I love the freedom. I love being able to improvise. I love being able to use, make ugly sounds with your voice, or, unconventional sounds with your voice to express things. Um, yeah, I feel that like there's also just so many less rules as well. Which, yeah, I really love. So I've
Well, there
just
are
enjoyed
rules,
it.
but also it's fun to break them in
Oh
jazz. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
100%. Well, and I guess that's the other thing, right? Is just my mindset between classical and jazz
Mm,
is very subjective as well. But yeah, so I've really enjoyed kind of exploring the more
mm.
contemporary stuff as well.
Isn't it funny when we're young, we reject the things that come easy to us? It's like, oh no, this is coming too easy. I must suffer for my
Yeah.
art. I must, this must feel
Yeah.
painful, you know?
Yeah, I must feel like
Yeah.
I'm getting, a full workout and I really have to be regimented
Yeah.
to get it done. Yeah,
Mm,
100%.
mm. I will choose the genre that, I'm not 100% passionate about because, that's what it means to be a good singer, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think as well, like I love singing anything, really. I just love the feeling of singing. Um, and yeah, just expressing yourself through that. So honestly, like even when I was singing in Italian and German and French, and in the early days when I had no idea what I was singing about, like I still loved it
Mm,
because it feels, yeah, so lovely. But um yeah, I guess I think especially singing in now, coming back and singing in more English, doing more English songs,
mm,
it's just like, oh, why haven't I been doing this for longer?
mm,
It's nice just, singing in um you know singing in your own language and singing in a genre as well that, a lot of my family can connect with as
mm,
well.
mm.
So, yeah.
And what's beautiful, I think you're in this awesome place, with your mindset and, what I don't know what you're being inspired and led to because you've just auditioned for a musical just on the weekend as well. So that's
Mm,
a definite, like it's like you're not stopping yourself from exploring all those other pathways. Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
And the same goes for, and I've said this to you before, and you said, yeah, so true. There's nothing stopping you from but later down the track doing a project that is classically based. You might
Mm,
discover, oh, I'm actually really loving Mozart at the moment. I'm going to, try these pieces and it could be like a recording project. So I love that you're in this
mm.
beautiful mindset of like anything really goes. Whatever I feel called to, I'll do. But at the moment, what's really cool is that you're really exploring your own originals.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah. And
And honestly, like doing like ask me even a year ago, um, like ask me if I could see myself performing some originals or having even written an original song, I would have been like, nah, I don't reckon so. Um, but since like I guess since joining, Fearless Singer with you, Mel, and it's been a year, I think.
I know, and
Like
you've just
exactly.
gone, what? What I can? What do
I
you mean?
know,
And then you've just gone
literally.
like that.
Literally, like giving yourself permission, like having other people
It's
around
so
me,
key.
giving permission has just been amazing. And I think, just doing one kind of songwriting class where I can't even remember who it was. It was
Ah,
just like
With Charlotte.
Charlotte, yeah,
Yeah,
Charlotte
Charlotte
McLean.
McLean. Yeah.
It was just like, write a shit song.
Mm.
That's your goal.
A
Just
shit, what
make
is
it
it? A
shit or
shitty ditty
something.
a day or something?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. A
yep,
shitty
yep.
ditty a day or something.
I just,
And my
oh, sorry. No,
oh,
you go. No, 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 you go. Sing
like
again.
my God, like after I wrote a shit song, which turned out to be actually a song that I really liked, I was like, oh, I can actually do that. I can actually write a song. Um, and then I just kind of kept going with it, and I've really enjoyed it. Yeah, it's become something that's like quite cathartic as well. But it is so satisfying to like it's so exciting, I guess, to especially take this music to the band, and it's like it's an original song, and
And it's all charted up as
yeah,
well.
they're like bringing it to life. So yeah, it's like really exciting, and honestly something that I thought I'd never do. So
And can I
yeah,
just
I'm
vouch? And
amazed.
I am obviously, will, obviously I'm a bit biased, but actually genuinely just detaching myself from the fact that I really adore and love Claire, just detaching myself from that. Like I literally wake up in the morning with your songs in my head. So that has to like
I
say
love
how good they are. There's
it.
actually one line, because I've just had a bit of a stressful couple of weeks. It's just been March has been big for everybody, not
Mm,
just me.
mm.
But one of those that the line from I forget which song it is, where it goes, "This girl is okay.
Yeah, she will be
She will
fine.
be fine." And
Yeah.
like I literally woke up like, after a bit of a stressful day, night, and I woke up with that lyric in my head. I swear to God, I'm not making that up.
Oh,
So like that, they're beautiful. They're so cathartic and they're so catchy and gorgeous. They're really
yeah.
good. So I'm
Oh.
really proud of you, and I can't wait for you to record them.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
yeah.
yep.
By the way, there's only 10 tickets left to Claire's show. So if you're like, yeah, I really want to come and hear this up and coming emerging singer-songwriter, get in, before she gets really famous, and you'll be, paying ridiculous sums of money to go and see her. Um, Come and see her where she started at Can You Keep a Secret on Saturday. She starts at 3. I think I might have said the wrong time before. So it's 3 till 5, and Claire has Hope Morrison joining her, another fearless singer. And I just want to add to, yeah, you've mentioned before about the songwriting class. I just want to establish that that's part of the Fearless Singer membership. I get guest teachers to come in and teach, but also Claire has also worked with the amazing Emma Dean, has done a songwriting workshop with her. And you were in Cheap Trill before you joined Fearless Singer. But before that, there was definitely a bit of a lull period where you're like, oh, I'm not doing music,
Yeah.
and then you just did this really cool thing where you saw the pathway to get back into it again, and you did that
Yeah.
with Cheap Trill. And then it's like the universe kept giving you like little crumbs to follow. And then you saw a podcast with me and Emma, and then you went, "Oh,
Mm-hmm.
Fearless Singer, let me check this out." And then on top of that, like you've just kept upskilling. Like you joined the I Heart Songwriting Club. You have literally you've invested in yourself. You've backed yourself, you've invested in yourself, and you've found a way into what you're doing now. So I think it's really important to say that because it's huge and well done, especially coming from a place of and I've been there. I worked for the government back in my 20s. I did a little bit of music on the weekends and just, I've been in that place where I'm like, what the fuck? Why am I not doing music in a bigger way than what I'm doing it now?
Mm.
So, can you talk about on that? Because I feel like a lot of people can resonate with that. I think we've all got very similar stories where we've had to, well, for whatever reason, we've just let those dreams we've just parked them over there. It's not, we haven't,
Mm.
I don't believe we fully just like, just forget about our dreams unless we
Yeah.
decide consciously, like, nah, it's not my dream anymore and I want to do this. But I
Yep.
think if the dream is still there, we just park it, but it's It's sad, isn't it? It's sad.
Yeah, 100%. And like when I'd finished my degree, there was a point where I could choose to do like an extra year. And by that time, like I still remember one of my last singing lessons at the con, like I sang and I probably sounded fine. And in my head, I was literally bashing myself up because I just had this like such a strong critic that was so out of control in my head. And, it literally, it was saying, you sound like a child,
Mm.
in my head. And I fully believed it. I just fully took that on. And so I ended up not going on with that extra year. So I came out just with the degree. And I ended up just like not singing for 2 years. I just fully threw it out the window. And it was such a relief at that point as well, because there was no more of me, going to open my mouth and sing and have these really negative, kind of really hypercritical thoughts. So I didn't sing for 2 years. I kind of hummed around the house and stuff, but I didn't think about singing. And it was such a relief. And that's kind of when I, dove into the Greens, into Max Chandler Mather's 2022 campaign, which was like I just loved that, and that was like another part of me that I hadn't really um like expressed very much. Doing a music degree, it's all just music, but there was, the social justice and greeny part of me really really yeah, got its run for the money um when I stopped singing. And then after all that kind of calmed down, that was when I was like, oh, maybe I could start singing again, and maybe I'll just, do it really gently by going to a community choir where, you know, barely anyone, um, is a professional singer. No one is judging you. Everyone is there just for community, just for singing. And so I joined Cheap Trill, um, and I also joined, oh, what is it? I joined another choir as well, and I it was just that was what I needed, like a safe space to just sing and to not have a, yeah, judge myself, not to judge others. And I love that. And then yeah, that was when I started to think, oh, okay, maybe I could see myself singing again. Okay, maybe actually I'd like to do something more. Maybe I'd like to do more solo stuff. And yeah, that kind of led me to you, Mel, which on your podcast, and now I am on the
I
podcast, which is
know.
like
That's
wild.
so cool.
Yeah, and so, and then I guess literally since then, which was a year ago now, I've just been like, woo, let me out of the cage. Like,
Yeah, honestly, it's
yeah,
been so beautiful to watch you go from. Yeah, I think you had rehabilitated yourself to a
yeah,
point after in
yep,
the choir and the community. Like you're ready. Like you're like, yep, next step, please.
yeah,
Um, is
100%.
so you talked about it was the critical voice that really kind of you and
Yeah,
having that little bit of break, it was kind of like the space for the healing to sort of begin, wasn't it? Yeah,
absolutely.
and
And
then you
it
just
it took like way longer than I thought as well, I think. Like leaving, I was like, oh, I'll be upset for a little bit because at that point, right, it felt like I'd given up on my dreams. Like I'd
mm,
moved interstate to study to become an opera singer. And that by the end of that degree, that was not what I was going to do. And so
mm,
there was, feelings of failure. There was
of
feelings of
course.
like my dreams are dead.
Mm,
All of this is in a song.
yeah.
Um, like it was a really kind of like, oh my God, who am I?
Mm,
Kind of moment. And it was, over those 2 years, even going and seeing a, psychologist. And I think it was in a psychology session when I realized that I had been beating myself up
mm,
so much.
mm,
Because like when I was in it, right, when this voice was, saying, oh, you sound shit, or you sound like a child, or,
mm,
like I hadn't known, like I thought that was me in my head speaking the truth. I
mm,
didn't think, oh, actually, that's just that's just a little voice in my head that's gotten really strong. It's kind of been trained to be really strong over the last few years. And so it was in a psychology session where I was like, oh, like that's just a little voice that not the truth, that's just really, triggered because of something. And so
Mm,
with that 2 years kind of gap of not singing, I was able to be like, that's what was going on. And so then once I did start singing again, I could notice it. And I was like,
mm,
that's actually that you know, unreasonably critical voice. Like there's a good amount of criticism, but this was like just ridiculously,
mm.
you know, just saying stupid things. And I was fully believing it. So
If
yeah,
it
it
was a workmate, they'd be put up with some kind of, for some kind of harassment.
yeah, yeah,
Like
literally.
literally, if someone else was talking to you
Yeah.
like that at the workplace, they would be fired.
100%, 100%. And so when like a psychologist was talking to me about like, maybe, you could start talking to yourself as if, you know, you're a good friend or as if you're, um, you know, 5 years old. And that shifted a lot of thinking in my head about,
Mm,
how I talk to myself.
mm.
Um, yeah. So
Do you think, do you feel like, because I know I wanted to be an opera singer when I back in the
mm,
day as well. And I just know that if I'd got into the con at 17, I just don't think I would have survived it. I don't think
mm,
I was emotionally mature enough to do a music degree. But do you think there should be some kind of like side by side training in that, like at conservatoriums? Because I think when we're adults, yeah, of course we do have the inner critic, and it never goes. But we get to a point where we're able to, you know, take on feedback in a way that, oh, this is data, this is here to help me. And then you forget what it's like to have been young once and been told certain things that you need to do to improve your voice. And you took it on board as this whole big saga story of like, and this is another reason why I'm so shit. Do you know what I mean? Because
mm.
of where we were
Yeah.
developmentally. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I am also guilty of this. I sometimes forget because I did a little bit of lecturing at University of Canberra TAFE, and I forgot for a second. Like I just gave feedback, like I'm talking to another adult. You just need to do this, this, and this. And then I saw this young person's body just go and I went,
Mm.
oh, that's right, I forgot. I forgot that,
Yeah.
and I was in no way harsh, but it was just. Yeah, there needs to be, I think, a bit more of an acknowledgement of where people are at when they're in their 19 to about 25, I think,
Yeah.
and maybe there
Yep.
needs to be some extra training. Do you think, like at conservatoriums and like acting
Yeah.
courses as well, just
Yeah.
to
I,
help?
I I think so. I
Yeah.
think like we had like there are a few electives which would kind of touch on musicians' health.
Mm,
Um which I think did touch kind of on the mental side of things, but a lot of that was like the physical,
mm,
eating healthy and all that kind of stuff. Um, but I feel like there was really no like touching on um on that inner critic.
mm, mm.
And also I personally felt like if you judged yourself against other people, that that was really that was really bad and you shouldn't do it. But all of us were doing it. And so, like, we couldn't talk about it.
Oh, yes. Well, that's the other thing too. It's being young and
Mm,
being in an environment where people are better than you and worse than you. Do you know what I mean? Like there is
100%. Well, and
so
that was
that
like,
brings that what do they call it? Comparisonitis. There we go. Um, yeah, like and to have to, yeah, like you said, reconcile that at a young age and not be able to say it out loud because it
mm,
then shows that you're being judgmental.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think as well, like the way that like the way that I experienced the classical voice stream at the Conservatorium was very much like you could tell you were in a ranking with your peers.
Mm,
And you got to the point, if you were there for enough years, you got to the point where you kind of knew where you were in that ranking.
mm,
And that that really like I struggled with that a lot.
mm,
And I think when you constantly get shown in ways where it's like, oh, you don't get picked for this all the time, you don't get picked for this, and actually these two or three people always get picked for this, you
mm,
start to like just through those kind of actions, it's like, okay, I kind of know where I stand. And of course, your mind then goes to, oh, I'm shit, you know?
mm. Yeah, because you don't, well, you haven't been given the skills to go, well, what do I do
Yeah.
with this information?
Yeah,
Mm.
100%.
Yeah, yeah.
100%. And I think the other thing was, I went to the conservatorium really wanting to perform. Like I
Mm,
love performing. And really there were not very many opportunities while I was there to perform. And so when you're scrambling to get the few things, if you do want to perform and you're scrambling to get the few opportunities and you can't seem to get any, it's like, oh, I didn't feel fulfilled, I guess.
mm, mm,
And then you also get those secondhand messages of, oh, you're not good enough. And so I remember that really, yeah, I really struggled with that.
mm. I think a
Yeah.
lot of people listening could relate to that, even if they didn't go to the conservatorium. There'd be
Mm,
some kind of weird ass pecking order type of thing in a
yeah.
workplace, for instance, or I think we've all been there and
Yeah.
can relate. But yeah, I just coming back to, yeah, when you were young, we need to learn those skills. What do you do with that information? Because,
Yeah.
like to have, yeah, like someone asking you the giving you the prompts, like, well, is this something that you want to like keep pursuing? Because this is going to be the reality for you as an opera singer. As you graduate, if you want this as a career, it's going to be highly competitive. We don't
Mm,
have a lot of opportunities really, apart from Opera Queensland. Obviously there are different opera companies belonging to each state.
mm.
Um, or somebody to say, hey, have you ever thought about putting on your own, opera, or
Yeah.
like writing your own show or that kind of
Yeah.
thing?
Yeah.
Just having that somebody to go, have you thought of, or
Yeah.
that kind of thing. I'm sure there would be stuff like that would exist now, at the conservatorium, but it's just and also too, you got to also consider like the arts are just so ridiculously underfunded.
Oh, yeah.
They're like, oh, we can only get through the technique. There's only money and time for that. Do you know what I mean? So, there's obviously this conversation isn't like, such and such should have done better. It's like
Oh,
it's more like
no.
the system should do better. Like we should be, teaching this at schools. We should
Yeah.
start these conversations quite young.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
think as well, like having gone through that experience of leaving the conservatorium and the experience of feeling really, you know, awful about my singing and my self-worth and all that kind of stuff. And actually then chatting to, lots of people who went through the conservatorium at the same time as me, who then say years later, oh, I had the exact same experience. It's like, oh my God.
If
Like
only
it
we
is,
knew we could have been a
uh,
support group together. We could have
like,
got ourselves
like
through.
that alone has
Mm,
been like, oh my God, I'm not the only one.
mm,
I'm not the only one to, have really come out the other end and not wanted to touch my instrument or, you know, not feeling really, not feeling great about ourselves. And so just even knowing that there's other people out there, I was like, oh, what a relief. And so that's why I'm so happy to talk about my experience and talk about it because I know that there's other people out there who've had that same, similar situations like that.
mm,
And
mm.
just, when you hear other people talk about, like, I still, when other people talk about their experiences, I'm like, oh, yes, I'm not the only one. This, yeah, it makes you feel like, oh, we're all human, actually. It's gonna be
Mm,
fine.
absolutely. And what a, yeah, it's such a relief, isn't it? When you
Yeah.
go, oh, yeah, that's all of those stories have made me who I am today. And you keep coming back to that, which is really lovely. And I love that you acknowledge that I wouldn't have all this great body of music, that I've written if I hadn't had those experiences.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all part of
100%.
the journey.
Yeah, yeah.
Before we leave this conversation, I just want to quickly touch on the fact that you discovered an old recording of yourself when you were how old?
I think I was 8.
8 years old. And if anyone
Little
wants to
8-year-old
listen
me.
to it, please go to Claire's Instagram. So it's at Clare Hudson Music. I'll actually write this on the screen and check it out. It's kind of like a few reels back, but listen to
Yeah.
little Claire. She was so beautiful.
So pure.
What was she singing, Claire?
So the song was Songbird. It's the Fleetwood Mac song, but it was Eva Cassidy's version, which we played in the house a lot and I loved. And it was at the end of my first year doing singing lessons, and I did a little performance for the end of year, um, singing group that I was in, and one of the ladies came up and was like, "Oh, we're doing a little recording, like a compilation CD to raise funds for orphanages in Vietnam." And so little me goes into the local radio station at Wynyard, Northwest Tassie, little town, um, and records this. And there's a photo on there as well of little 8-year-old me at the recording studio with the
The can.
headphones on. So
Yeah.
cute. But yeah, and so we had this CD, and like I hadn't seen the CD in years. And then I was like, "Oh, Dad, have you seen the CD? Could you find it anywhere?" And he fishes it out and he sends me the audio. And it is like I didn't even recognize my own voice. It was so cute and pure. Anyway, so yeah, I was just like,
I actually, when I listened to it, I cried. It
oh,
was so, yeah, it was like a little angel.
little angel. Oh, it
Yeah.
it is very adorable. Yeah, and it was pretty amazing to find that. I was like, that
Mm.
is where my singing all began.
And I
Yeah.
love that, yeah, I love that Songbird is going to be in the set on Saturday. And I love the concept of growing pains as well. It's like almost like Saturday, you're going to be singing to each part of you at those different stages of your journey. We
Mm,
sort of touched on that, how you said, I just want to go back and tell 19-year-old Claire that's
yeah.
going to be all right. Well, you do that anyway, and you're going to be doing that on Saturday.
Yep.
Like, wouldn't 19-year-old Claire and even 8-year-old Claire would just be like so stoked for you?
Oh, literally like
Yeah.
24-year-old Claire would be stoked, being like, "Oh, you're doing your own show. That's pretty cool."
Yeah. And it's going to be the first of many as well. But I
Yeah.
still strongly encourage, that there's only 10 tickets, like literally 10 tickets left. So please get in. Please see Claire before, honestly, she's going to skyrocket. I'm just touching wood because I don't want to jinx anything. No, it's very Greek of me. But yeah, I think yeah, we need to see you. We're sort of it's not like I said, it's not your first show. Like it's not your first performance. You're a very experienced
Yeah.
performer, but this is your first ever.
Yes.
Like you've put together, curated such a beautiful list of music.
Yeah.
Everything's so meaningful. The covers and your beautiful originals. Mm.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so excited. And yeah,
Me
thank you so
too.
much, Mel, for having me on
Oh
here. This has
no,
been
my
lovely.
absolute bloody pleasure. Yeah, so this Saturday, which is the 12th of April, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. at Can You Keep a Secret, which is in Wollongabba. Claire will be singing with an incredible band, Dr. Bob on bass, Lee Wilson on keys, Dave McGuire guitar. She'll be supported by such another beautiful up and coming singer, Hope Morrison, who will also be doing some originals as well as some well-known covers that everyone's going to love. And I'll be there like a proud stage mum. I'll be doing the
I can't wait.
filming. I'm gonna be one of those annoying, like, family members at gatherings with the doing the filming.
Oh my God, I can't wait.
Yeah. Awesome. Oh, thanks, Claire.
Oh, thanks, Mel.